Hi, and welcome to my channel and my review of the Netflix original, The Irishman. This movie is based off of the best-selling book, The Irishman, and it has been in the works with Scorsese and De Niro for over a decade. No studio would pick up this film because of the cost. It runs at 3.5 hours, and there is a lot of CGI in this film where the aging and the aging of the actors is amazing. I'm going to say that first and foremost before I give my opinion on other aspects of the movie is the CGI that is used to make Robert De Niro and Al Pacino and Joe Pesci look young and old was second to none. It was amazing. There was many times I couldn't even tell what was real and what was fake. It was that seamless. The only part in the movie that I thought looked fake and I could tell that there was something going on was Robert De Niro was given blue eyes throughout the film. It just looked a little too blue and a little too off. On with the film. This will not include any spoilers. The only thing I will say about this film is, of course, it being a Martin Scorsese film, it has to do with the mob. That is all I'm going to tell you. This story has many ups and downs, twists and turns, but for the most part, it just was not fun nor interesting to sit through. I am a huge Martin Scorsese fan. I have watched every single one of his movies, and this movie felt very different from his other movies. Lots of other critics and reviewers are giving this movie high praises. I did not enjoy it very much. Such movies as Goodfellas and Casino, they run for over 3 hours, but they didn't feel like 3 hours. They were very fast-paced, very entertaining. Martin Scorsese loves to hash out his characters so that you know where they're coming from, why are they doing what they're doing, and you know exactly the whole backstory to everything, so there's no question. I love that about his style of directing. But with this movie, this felt every minute as long as 3.5 hours. There were times that I wanted to take a pause and possibly watch it later. It was boring at times. There were plot holes that never were hashed out. There were characters that entered and left that never really explained who they were or why they were there or what purpose they served the rest of the story. It was boring at times, and I've never had that with 90% of Martin Scorsese's films. What did I think of the actors? I thought Joe Pesci was awesome. He came out of retirement for this movie, and he was fantastic. It was like he never left the film world. On to Robert De Niro as the main character, Frank. I just did not think he was a good fit. I don't know if it has to do with his literal age or his lack of enthusiasm in roles any longer. He felt boring and old, and not old as he's trying to act like an old person. He just felt like he didn't really have the gusto in the role as he had in previous films. Al Pacino was also great, but he did not give anything new to the movie that he hasn't done in other films. It's the same loudmouth, brash, over-the-top, ad-lib type of dialogue that he's given over and over again in other films. It just was not great. Other cameos in the film feature such as Ray Romano and also Sebastian Maniscalco. There's a whole litany of characters that were brought into this movie to have cameos throughout. A lot of them worked. A lot of them were like, okay, why are you doing a favor for somebody? They really don't serve any purpose in the film. I'm going to have to say this film, to me, felt boring and gray and dark. It wasn't a good dark feeling. It felt that it was just depressing. Everything about this film just felt like an endless dread that no one was happy. There never was an excitement. There never was a good times in the film. It just always felt very gray and bland. In most of Scorsese's films, the origin of the characters always start off as excited to get involved in this life or a happy time period. And then, of course, it turns. The whole movie felt dark and depressing. There never was a happy time for anyone. It never made you want to envy anyone in the film for what scenario or what job that they had. It just felt very grueling and tedious. So My final score is this. Out of a scale of 1 to 10, I will give this a 4.5. It felt to me below average. I would never watch this movie again. I watch it just because I'm a massive Scorsese fan and I would watch every movie that he put out, but it just was boring. If you must watch this movie, it is now released on Netflix. It was released on the 27th of November, 2019. Go check it out for yourself. But be forewarned, it does not feel like a core Scorsese film. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening to my review. And please don't forget to subscribe.